privilege of offering and featuring um, Erin Darden. She is Esquire, founder of EQ for Love, a certified emotional intelligence coach and attorney. And we have the privilege of letting her present. And we are thankful, and we are discussing emotional intelligence. And with that being said, please welcome Erin Darden. Thank you, Erin, for being with us. All
Thank you
right.
so much for having me. You guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. So I was talking to Marcus, and he was telling me that he had a good day. He had closed on a deal at work that he had been chasing for months. Now, he said this was the kind of deal that gets you handshake from the bosses and respect from the team. He even grabbed takeout for dinner on the way home, trying to be thoughtful. But when he walked through the door, he could feel it, the energy. His wife barely looked up from the couch. The kids were loud, the dishes weren't done. And the moment he sat down, she started. You didn't even ask me how my day was. I've been in here all day with the kids. I'm drowning. You don't talk to me. I feel disconnected. I feel like I'm married to a wall. Marcus didn't yell. He didn't roll his eyes. He didn't say much of anything. He just sat there. He nodded a little and waited for it to pass like he always does, because in his mind, he was doing everything right. He was working hard. He was providing. He was keeping the peace. What more was he supposed to do? But deep down, he knew. This wasn't the first time that she said it, and each time she did, it left another crack that he did not know how to fix. You might know Marcus. In fact, you might be Marcus. You're not as emotionally available as your woman or your kids need you to be. And it's not because you don't care, it's because nobody ever taught you how to show up in that way. You were taught to suppress your emotions, to stay strong, to handle it alone. You don't just struggle to express yourself, you don't know how to respond to other people either. And you don't want to seem weak. You don't want to lose her respect. But listen, you're not cold, you're conditioned. You were taught that emotions are weakness. But now your silence is costing you the connections that you value the most. Now, give me a second and let me ruffle your feathers for a second. So, some of you, you know what, actually, I'm not going to put it on you. Let's put it on your friends. So, yeah, because they're not here to defend themselves. So, some of your friends believe what a lot of men have been told, that emotions are for women, that men are logical and women are emotional. Now, if your friends were here, I would tell them that it's not true. I would tell them that that's not science, that's social conditioning. So let's talk facts for a second. The part of your brain that processes emotions, the limbic system right here in the middle, that is developed long before the part that process and help you think logically, this prefrontal cortex, which is like the front of your brain, right? And so your emotional brain reacts faster than your logical brain, right? It's wired to detect the threats and to protect you. So before you even think, you feel. That's not weakness, that's wiring. And so if men and women have the same brain, then the idea that men are naturally less emotional, it doesn't hold up. Right? So the real question isn't why men are less emotional, it's why are so many taught to hide it. From the time you were born, you were taught don't cry, big boys don't cry, don't complain, don't be soft, man up. And then somewhere along the way, life flips the script. Now you're expected to be the protector, the provider, the problem solver, but you're not allowed to feel. That's possible. And it's not strength, it's actually a setup. You do feel the same emotions that everybody else does: anger, sadness, shame, pressure. But the difference is that you have been trained to express them through ways that are more socially acceptable. So, anger, That's okay for you. So everything turns into frustration. Numbness, praised as you being unbothered and cool. And silence is definitely mistaken for strength. But here's the truth: silence doesn't build connection, it breaks it down. Your feelings are valid, even the uncomfortable ones. You weren't born emotionally unavailable, you were taught that. And anything that you were taught, you can unlearn. You're not cold, you're conditioned. And let me say this other thing while we're on this topic. This whole idea that men are logical and women are emotional, this myth, is not just hurting men. Some women use it as an excuse. I'm just emotional. That's why I react the way that I do. As if just being a woman justifies their unhealthy and toxic behaviors and reactions. But no, sis, that's not accountability. Emotional expression isn't an excuse for emotional irresponsibility. We all have emotions, but we also all have the power to choose how we respond. Emotional intelligence isn't about gender, it's about growth. And when we don't grow emotionally, we carry that pain in our bodies. Stress, high blood pressure, insomnia. Your emotions, they're going to make themselves known to you. And either you can listen and express them or your body will. So, this is why this is hard, right? Men are raised to seek respect, not understanding. You're expected to be the rock, strong, steady, unshakable. So, when emotions show up, you shut down. Not because you don't feel, but because you don't think anyone will understand. Or worse, you're afraid your emotions will be used against you and thrown up in your face later. You want to be there emotionally for your family, but the truth is, no one ever taught you how. So you stay silent. You play it safe. But silence doesn't protect your peace, it poisons your connection. So that's why we're here today. Not to make you soft, but to make you stronger. Not to strip you of respect, but to give you tools to earn it in every room you walk into, especially the ones that matter most. How do I know this? I am Erin Darden. I am a certified emotional intelligence coach and the founder of EQ for Love, where I teach emotional intelligence tools for better communication, deeper connection, and lasting love. Now, in addition to being an emotional intelligence coach, I'm a lawyer. Now, I concede I am not a man. I won't sit here and pretend that I know what it's like to need respect. But as a young Black woman in that world, respect is not optional, it's survival, right? I prided myself on being logical, on keeping it all together, right? There was no space to be the emotional woman, especially not the angry Black woman. So I did what many of you have done. I suppressed my emotions. I stuck to the facts. I believed there was no time and no need for feelings. But here's what I learned the hard way: suppressing emotions doesn't make you stronger, it makes you disconnected. Disconnected from your needs, disconnected from your people, and disconnected from yourself. And I learned that suppressing them doesn't make them go away. They just resurface in other ways, like shutting down, the silent treatment, or frustration. I realized that in avoiding my emotions, I was robbing myself of clarity, of direction, of connection. Right? Emotions, they aren't weakness, they're data. And emotional intelligence, that's the strategy. Now, emotional intelligence is not therapy. It's not about being soft. It's about learning how to recognize, regulate, and respond to emotions in ways that serve you, right? Emotions, they have function. Fear protects, anger alerts, sadness signals loss, and joy connects, right? And so when you suppress emotions, you suppress the message and you miss out on the opportunity to respond with intention. Emotional intelligence gives you that awareness. It helps you pause, assess, and choose your next move instead of reacting or retreating. Right? So emotional intelligence is not about being emotional. It doesn't have to be this dramatic thing that lasts a long time. Emotional intelligence is about being strategic. It's the ability to recognize, to understand, and manage your own emotions and the emotions of others. And it matters a lot. So much so, right? The Harvard Business Review says emotional intelligence accounts for 58% of performance in all types of jobs. 90% of top performers have high emotional intelligence. How about this? People with high emotional intelligence earn almost $30,000 more on average per year. And in relationships, couples with high emotional intelligence are more likely to feel understood, resolve conflicts faster, and they report higher satisfaction. So this isn't fluff. These are facts. And emotional intelligence is the secret to building trust and respect at home, in business, and in every other area of your life. At home, emotional intelligence helps you to stop shutting down and to start showing up. It helps you to listen without trying to fix it, which dismisses how your partner feels if you didn't know. And it helps you to speak without escalating. It helps you communicate more effectively. More importantly, it helps your partner feel seen, heard, and understood. Emotional intelligence is not just about your romantic relationship. It's also how you stay calm in high pressure meetings, how you read the room, how you manage stress, how you connect better with colleagues and clients. It makes you a better negotiator. It allows you to handle rejection without shutting down. It helps you lead with confidence instead of control. And probably most importantly, it helps you to show up for your kids in ways that they will never forget. This isn't soft. This is solid. This is leadership in every room that you walk into. And when you start using these tools, you'll feel the difference, and so will everyone around you. This isn't about being emotional, it's about being effective. Let me leave you with this. If your silence is costing your connections, if you're ready to stop being misunderstood and start being heard, emotional intelligence is your next move. So here are 3 things that you can start doing right now. Number 1, name what you feel. Not I'm mad, I'm fine, I'm cool. Name it. Are you frustrated? Are you overwhelmed? Are you disrespected? Are you disappointed? You're not weak for feeling it. You're human. I just showed you that the human brain is wired to give emotions the upper hand. You've just been ignoring them, or you lack the emotional vocabulary to acknowledge them. If I'm sick and I go to the doctors and the doctors say, hey, what's wrong? And I can't articulate what's wrong, that doesn't make me any less sick. It just means I don't have the words to share how I am feeling. But the sickness is still there. The second thing that you can do after you name it, understand what they are trying to tell you. Every emotion is a message. Is there an unmet need? Is there an action that needs to be taken? Is there something that you need to communicate to your partner? And then once you figure that out, the third thing you can do is to respond with purpose. You pause and then choose your next best step. I remember I worked with this man, and when I say worked with him, I mean his wife was the client, and in the beginning, he refused to come and talk to me like most men do. But it's okay because eventually he came around and we had a conversation. So let's call him Jason. I had a conversation with Jason, and he said, I do everything I'm supposed to do. I provide, I protect, but she still says she doesn't feel connected to me. I asked him a simple question. When was the last time you actually told her how you feel? He got quiet. Not because he didn't have feelings, but because he didn't have the words for them. And he said, she knows I love her. I just been going through a lot. So I asked, have you told her that? And his response was, she wouldn't understand. Here's what I told him. You have to give your partner the opportunity to be who you need her to be. You wouldn't like it if she asked another man for money to cover an unexpected expense, right? Because as her man, that's your job. Well, just like that's your role, she believes it's her role to support you emotionally, but you have to give her that chance. Now, I just so happened to have been working with his wife too, so I knew that she was a safe space for him. She just wanted to support him and be his cheerleader, but she didn't know how because he never let her in. Now, I want to pause for a second and say this clearly. I understand that not everyone has a safe space like that. And just know I do wish that kind of healthy partnership for all of you. Okay. Back to Jason. So I asked him again, when was the last time you actually told her that you were going through a lot or shared what you were dealing with? And he said no one had ever taught him how. So he started simple, just learning how to name the emotions: frustrated, disappointed, disrespected, left out, overwhelmed. He realized that he wasn't the problem, he was just emotionally under equipped. A few weeks later, he came back and said, I didn't know how badly I needed this, right? My girl changed. She noticed the change before I even said anything. And she finally said she feels like she can talk to me, right? Now, that is the power of emotional intelligence. It doesn't make you soft, it makes you available. And that availability, it builds trust, it builds peace, it builds connection. I want you to ask yourself these questions. What would your relationship look like if your partner didn't have to guess how you feel? What would your kids say about how safe they feel coming to you when things get hard? What kind of leader would you be if you could stay calm, connected, and confident even when the pressure hits? That's not a fantasy. That's emotional intelligence. And you don't have to figure it out alone. Right? You were taught to stay strong, suppress your emotions, and do it all alone. But the world has changed. Your relationships have changed, right? And silence is no longer a strength, it's a barrier. But you're not cold, right? You're conditioned. And it's time to unlearn what no longer serves you. So if you are ready to do this work to protect your peace, lead with confidence, and create deeper connections, let's talk. We can schedule a breakthrough call with me and we will get clear on what is standing in your way of being more emotionally available. We're going to talk about how you are currently responding and showing up, where you're shutting down or staying silent. And then we'll talk about simple shifts that you can make to improve the connection without losing yourself or feeling soft. Right? You'll walk away with concrete tools that you can start using right away, not fluff. Or you could take my free EQ assessment to see where you stand and what to improve. Real strength isn't about what you suppress, it's about what you master, right? You're not cold, you're conditioned, but you can change.